Coach, obviously defeating this defending champs here. What kind of stands out in a game like this? Obviously, there's the 4 turnovers and the 21 offensive rebounds, second chance points. I mean, what stands out here?
It was one of these after the Boston game where there was just, utter frustration and anger after that game where we felt like we outplayed them, for the overwhelming majority of the game and then lose the game. So there was a lot of that fueling us. And this was by whatever means necessary game. Whatever it takes. And you just saw those incredible efforts, down the stretch. On some of the second chance opportunities, even the jump ball, that was an incredible, scrum underneath the basket. And then even the one where Holmgren came up with it and they were able to call a timeout. I mean, that was, a bunch of efforts on that. But I thought, different guys stepped up. I mean, obviously Bam was sensational. When you have one of these kind of games where you just have to do it by any means necessary, you want somebody like Bam leading the way, leading the charge. It was his competitive will. He's being so decisive now offensively. And you're getting the whole package. You're getting the scoring, you're getting the playmaking, you're getting the facilitating, you're just getting the ball. You're getting all of it. You're getting the offensive rebounding. And then defensively, even he was there everywhere, tonight. But even that last play, we're shadowing, trying to keep the ball from going to Alexander, and then he just threw it right back to Caruso. Bam was the one that, rotated to that to force that, to be a little bit of a different trajectory. But off the bench, Simo really showed up big tonight. And Myron, it was great to see, him come in, from Sioux Falls and have an impact in his minutes. His energy and those efforts, were terrific. It's not just about him knocking down the threes. You just felt his presence on all the hustle plays too.
You spoke before the game about you felt something turning, and even no matter what the result here, is this sort of what you envisioned, that there's momentum to be built and that there's a better? Yeah,
I mean, it always remains to be seen. But yes, as a coach, sometimes you have a gut feel for something. When we came back from that disappointing road trip, that's when you felt a competitive will. To commit to do whatever's necessary. That doesn't guarantee wins. I mean, obviously we lost a heartbreaker to Boston. This could have easily gone a different way. But all 3 of these games, you see a Miami Heat competitive collective will out there. And that for sure, we'll build on. That's a great opportunity in front of us. We have a whole second half of the season to go. This should set up to be a lot of fun.
You guys finished with 34 more field goal attempts than and I'm obviously not going to finish with an advantage like that every game, but how big of?
Well, it could be, it's by whatever means necessary. It's not like, I guess we did force them into 15 turnovers, but it didn't really feel like it. There's games where we force teams into the 15, 16 turnover range, and you feel it. Like, it felt like they still were able to get the ball kind of where they wanted to go. So, somehow, trying to manage, that possession game, with them, because they can make it look so smooth, so easy. First they can shut teams down and keep you under 100, or, they can go on these scoring binges. So you have to do everything in a game like this, to give yourself the best chance. And in some areas it might be way more, like offense rebounding, hustling, or might be turnovers, in another game. But whatever. The most important thing is for us, based on the paper part of us, the first half of the season, is now we just have to figure out how to gut out wins. We have enough stats that can get us wins. Now you just have to collectively do it.
Erik, when you're missing Davion and Tyler and Jaime, and you're putting combinations out there that you probably hadn't ever envisioned or hadn't spent a whole lot of time working with together, how valuable is that certain fivesomes can go out there and know that if called upon, and some of it, yes, was out of desperation tonight, but unusual groupings can work out for this team sometimes.
Yeah, and this is the league right now. Every team is going through some version of this at some point during the season or a lot during the season. And that's why you do have to have depth, but it's more this mindset, this mentality that you better find a way. You just figure it out collectively. But you have to have a collective will to be able to just figure it out. And there's a feeling, when everybody's in the same, in the same boat, going in the same direction, that there's a power to that. And that's, something that we've definitely felt, since we came back from the road trip, regardless guys in, out, that it's a way of playing, a way of competing, to do it.
On the possession where Wiggins hit the three, it looked like a pick and roll was developing, and then Norm just going to be his guy. Was that, how much of that was a play call to have that spacing, or was that just the habits of the season kind of?
No, that was the play call. And then, he could do whatever he, wanted out of it. They went away from the pick and then made a heck of two passes that were great. I mean, even the second one to Wiggs, it looked like he was going to try to turn the corner, and then Holmgren was there, trying to swallow that up. And both kickouts were impressive. And, the more we trust, that's how we have to be. We have to trust the right play, rather than just running a play call. If we start, running a few more play calls, that it's not about, okay, this is for me to get the shot. Now we have enough of these habits after a full half of a season to play the same way regardless of whether we're using triggers or not.
On that same note, some of the late possessions with a lot of Pella and Bam in the pick and roll, kind of middle pick and roll. How much do you kind of trust, I guess, his decision making at this point to be able to make the right play, and then obviously the scoring factor? I
mean, it was a lot of that, and a lot of to trust we didn't have to necessarily get to our way of playing with the principles with that, because Pella did a good job of getting in there, but also wanted to keep Alexander active in the action, where he's not just chilling out and then resting for the time he can go on offense. He also could be, playing with fire. He's great with getting steals. All right, thank you.
Coach, with the walk-off right there, a victory, you're allowed to do what you want right there as the Heat win 122-120. Amy Adebayo joins us now to talk about two very important persons as a part of this victory. And let's start off with the captain.
And by the way, they were all very important tonight.
I'm not
absolutely. Yeah. Right? But it's a positive problem when you're like, who should we highlight? And I mean, first bucket for Miami tonight. There was a tone set by Bam Adebayo, and the Jax call went something like this: Bam over top of Holmgren. And I said, say that again. Over top of Holmgren, a 7'1" guy, 208, right under the rim. Yeah, Bam's going to have a night. Again, he set a tone. Like he planted himself, scored the bucket, 2-0. Is this it right here? That's it. That's it right there. That is an incredibly high level shot, but you are sending a message. That was the second one. That also sent a different kind of message. That was for Twitter right there. But Bam had an incredible night. Stat-wise, the 30 points, 12 rebounds, 6 of those on in the offensive glass, 4 assists. There is a correlation for big Bam nights to me, and that is the first quarter. When Bam has great first quarters, when he comes out today, it was 12 points in the first, 4 for 8. When his attempts are up, when he's aggressive, he took 22 shots tonight, a career high 6 for 10 because his wrist is snapping down. He's in rhythm. To me, like, this is I'm just going to let my game do the talking. And quite frankly, it's been an entire week of Bam saying, I'm going to let my game do the talking, right? Because a lot of people were talking last week when we left OKC, and rightfully, like, to an extent, rightfully so, in that that there's a higher level, and to really just shut everything down and continue to just get in the gym and focus on yourself. We're so lucky to have Bam as leader of this franchise, and this is a night that just continues to reiterate that.
Some of the fan base forget it's an 82-game season and get really deep in the weeds on these little pockets rather than, at this stage, nearly 40 years into fandom, recognizing that there are these ebbs and flows, and hopefully that's being refreshed through these last 3 games and hopefully into the trip. Let's talk about Pelle Larsson, his 21st start, I believe, 22nd start maybe of the season, and making the most of it, even though early on his shot wasn't necessarily going, but staying with it and obviously getting hit in the face.
I was going to say, also another tone getting set, and Jack said something about, yep, it happened again. That was the call on the radio, and there was blood coming from both nostrils into the mouth, and probably a smile from Pelle Larsson, because he doesn't have to play a lot to let his presence known tonight. It was just under 30 minutes out there, quite a bit of minutes, but it's the production, the 16 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, but he was 7 for 15 from the floor. Jax, you mentioned he had a couple really nice, clean looks that didn't go down. It doesn't affect him. And the thing I love the most about Pelle is he is never scared to try to square up and take something. Like, he will go after anybody that he thinks he can get in front of. He does that beautiful, that sprint, slide, square kind of action. And that was actually how he got hit in the face. But some huge, the inflection plays and inflection moments. He responded single-handedly 3 times late in this game, right? OKC had an open layup. He had an open layup. And then Shai took him for the and one. And so there's like this game within the game with Pelle all the time. Again, another guy, I'm happy he's wearing a Heat jersey.
The Swedish swish looking like a male model right there. Look at that. Good Greek. Moving and
you know what he's saying though, right? Like, I'm about to get under you and take a charge.
What he's about to say, we can hear. The man was mic'd up all night.
No, P, let's go. Hey, Wiggs, help him. Switch it. Pass, Norm. Hey! Oh, that's him! A bad challenge. I'm low, man. Simon, I'm low. Hey, Simon! Hey! Yeah, Martin! Yeah, Martin! Oh, yeah, Martin! Load up, man! We get easy layups. Yeah. I'm cutting. Hey! Hey! Boom! Yeah!
I think we're going to have to check the mic after that one. That was some joy that might have blown
I think
out
we were all Pelle in that moment, weren't we?
So good.
But we didn't work that hard. Like, you worthy of winning. That Caruso, that was close. A little too close for comfort, but what a night for Pelle.
A great time for all of Heat Nation. A little more show coming. Stay right where you are. Amy's going to dive inside second chance points. Plus, that man catching, firing, and splashing. 20 made threes in 50 attempts. Hello. Coming back.